Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Heather Brooks, and we're back again, this time with Doug Sohn. We just want to thank you so much for coming to join us for Senior Citizens Day off, 1 day off because it's tomorrow, but welcome. Our last speaker is Doug Sohn. He's going to give us a little bit about himself, but he's going to talk to us about success after 60 and a little bit what he's gone through and where he is going now. He's a motivational speaker and inventor, as well as a attorney. And you also, if I'm not mistaken, invented something on a spaceship. My eyes are different.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Heather. I appreciate
I'll give it away to you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And thanks, Heather and Don and Debbie for putting on this event, for inviting me, and for letting me be part of this great lineup of speakers. And by the way, the speakers have been great this morning. Maybe have a little round of applause for them. You know, sort of silent virtual applause. There we go. And also, you know, for Don and Debbie and Heather for putting on this event. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I'm Doug Sohn, and I'm the founder of Success After 60. And our motto, as you can see up here, is I'm never done growing. And in fact, that's more than just a motto. I really look at it as being my mission in this. And I understand that, you know, our audience today is largely real estate professionals, professionals who are 55 and over, or whose market is people who are 55 and over, or if you're both, you know, you're a real estate professional over 55 and that's your market as well. And I fit right in because I'm an attorney, I'm a professional. I'm quite a bit over 55. I actually turned 68 this year. And in my new career as a professional development teacher and speaker, my audience is people who are actually over 60, so a little bit more than over 55. So because of that, I think I've got a good grasp of where you folks may have some challenges, how life may look to you. And let me ask you this question. Have you ever felt that maybe you'd lost some momentum, maybe because of your age, or that maybe there weren't enough years left in your lifetime to be able to accomplish the dreams that you hadn't accomplished yet? I know I felt like that. And what I'd like to do today is to tell you about how I dealt with that. And if I may tell you a little bit of a story and a bit of background about me. I've spent the last 30 plus, probably almost 40 years studying personal development, starting with all the way back to folks like Earl Nightingale, and then forward to Brian Tracy. And then, yes, I was one of those people who was up late at night and saw that infomercial with Tony Robbins on it. And I bought his cassette tapes. You know, folks here in this audience maybe remember what cassette tapes are. I know my kids don't really remember those, certainly not the grandkids. But I bought those and I studied them and I applied them to my life. And I was fortunate enough to be able to use those tools to be able to build a successful law practice and a successful marriage of over 40 years. Raised 6 kids, become a self-trained inventor, get a patent along with my wife Sherry on some technology that you'd mentioned for some spacecraft design. But sort of, if you will, fast forward to February of 2020, just a little bit over a year ago, a year and a half ago, Sherry and I were coming up on our 40th wedding anniversary. That was a big deal, and we were going to make a big deal out of it. We had planned to have a party, have our friends come over to renew our vows. We had a wedding cake ordered. It was going to be a big celebration. Unfortunately, that was not to be. A few evenings before this big event, I started feeling a little off. And then I started feeling a little weakness in my right hand. And then I had a little bit of involvement with my speech. And maybe some of you in your audience, in this audience, have experienced that sort of thing and know where the story is going. Where it went was me in an emergency room where I was sort of crowded in by doctors and nurses and told I was having a mini stroke, or TIA. And so I spent the next 3 days in the hospital, and I actually had 4 TIAs in 24 hours, none of which left any permanent damage. I was very fortunate about that. But that anniversary party never took place. Instead, we celebrated our 40th anniversary in a hospital room with our kids around us. And I'm very grateful that I was actually be able to do that and not have any permanent damage, but I will have to tell you that that was definitely a wake-up call. And I found myself in that hospital bed at age 67, thinking about my life and thinking about where I was at that point. And yes, it was a good life. Things were going well, but I realized that I'd hit kind of a plateau, that I had gotten to that point where I felt like I like I was asking a minute ago, I'd lost some momentum. And it seemed to me, I'm not sure I've got enough years ahead of me to accomplish the dreams that I hadn't accomplished yet. And as I thought about that, and I realized, Doug, you've spent all these years learning about personal development. You know better than to come to that sort of point of view that, to lose momentum. And I realized that what had happened was that I had fallen prey to what I called the big lie. And let me tell you what I mean by the big lie. At our age, people 55 and above, or particularly those of us who are 60 and above, society has a tendency to tell us negative things, that we're too old to be able to perhaps start a new career, or we are too old to be more successful than we are. We're too old to reach our dreams if we haven't already. We're too old to become the best version of ourselves. And I decided to flat out reject that and to rededicate myself to studying personal development that I've been studying. And not only that, but to do more digging into the concepts, if you will. I learned the most cutting edge understandings about personal development and brain science. I learned some amazing things about the brain. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But as I was looking into this, I realized, there is nobody else who is talking to people in our age group about these things. And I looked at the great personal development teachers out there, even somebody like Tony Robbins, who just turned 60. He doesn't really talk to us. Everybody talks to the 20-year-olds, the new college graduates, the 30-year-olds, and talks about what a great future you have in front of them. But nobody is looking me and you in the eye and saying, you know what, you can still do it. You still have plenty of time to succeed. And I decided, okay, I'm going to be that person. And so at age 67, I started a new career. And I started this organization, Success After 60, to teach the people in our age group that you can still succeed, that you can still reach your dreams. So here's what I would like to share with you today. This concept of the big lie is something that sort of sneaks in behind the scenes and tends to, like it did me, tends to affect how I look at my life, tends to affect my view of what it is that I can accomplish, that I can still accomplish. And as I started doing these studies and started looking into these cutting edge learnings and teachings about the brain, I realized that all those things that we used to believe, that doctors used to believe, that neurologists used to believe about the brain, and how you only had up to maybe age 20. After that, your brain stopped developing. That was like your peak, age 20, and then everything after 20 goes downhill. And they used to believe you cannot build new brain cells and you cannot build new brain connections. But they've been studying that, and over the last 5-10 years, with all these great new diagnostic tools they've got, they have realized that you actually can, at any age, build new brain cells, build new brain connections. And they've got these new concepts called brain plasticity and neurogenics. And I'm looking at those things. And I was lucky enough to make a new friend. His name is Dr. Ron Kaiser. And Dr. Kaiser is a psychologist. He has a PhD in psychology. He's a clinical psychologist. He has his own book called Rejuvenating, where he talks about the fact that at the age of 50, you actually have an additional second half century of life, a productive life that you can learn and grow and start new things. And he bases this on his own studies and on the studies of other scientists who have looked into the brain with these diagnostic tools. So it's not just me, it's not just wishful thinking saying that you can still learn and grow and expand your brain at our age. There's actual scientists who are saying the same thing. I think it's really important to understand that. So what he points out is that when you get into our age group, that with the new understandings about nutrition and with the new medicine we have and the new understandings we have about the brain, that we could potentially live to 80, 90, or even 100 years old and have that second half century, not only have it, but that could be the best time of our life. So the important thing, though, to keep in mind about that is this. In order for that to work, in order for you to be able to grow those new brain cells and connections and to be able to do what we're talking about, not have your brain, start to deteriorate as, the big lie would have you believe, you have to believe it. You actually have to get into your mind that you're never done growing. And so that's why this has become my mission, is to make sure that people in our age group understand and really anchor in this concept, I'm never done growing, because that is what allows you to continue to grow and have those new brain connections work, and to be able to have this second half century of life be the best time of your life. So what does that mean to you personally? And how could you use this? Well, I've got a tool that I could, that I want to share with you. And left. Okay, that I want to share with you. And it's called, what I call the 10-year slice. And what does that mean? Okay, well, what I teach in my courses and what I share with people to do is to be able to look at your life, like all of your life, and take a 10-year segment. And if you want to pick a segment of your life that is particularly significant, where there are a lot of things that you accomplished during that time period, and take it from beginning to end, 10 years, and really study that and really understand and appreciate and be grateful for what it is that you accomplished during that single 10-year period. Okay. Now, for me, for example, I could take 1997 to 2007. So in 1997, Sherry and I had left California, gone to the East Coast of Virginia. I had sort of taken a break from the practice of law, and Sherry had started up a special events chocolate company. And we were doing that in the DC metro area. And it was a lot of fun, and it was very successful. But unfortunately, Sherry had some health challenges that required us to sort of shut that business down for me to come back to California and go back to the practice of law. So I started a brand new type of practice of law for me in a city that I had not practiced law in before. Even though we were from San Diego, I hadn't practiced law here. And by 2007, I had built that into a very successful practice with a six-figure income. So if I take that 10-year period of time and look how much I accomplished from the first year to the 10th year, is quite a lot. So here's how this works, though. If you do the same thing, you go through that same exercise and you think, well, here's what I accomplished in 10 years. Well, if you really accept and understand this whole concept of the second half century of your life, that means you have at least one more potential 10-year slice in front of you, and maybe two, maybe even three, if we really want to extend out the possibilities, but at least one or two. So instead of buying into the big lie that society wants to tell you that you're too old, there's not enough time left, that you can't accomplish more, that you can't start a new career, you absolutely can. You can prove it to yourself by looking at this 10-year slice and projecting that into the next 10 years. So I think it's a very useful tool, and I've used that in my life to be able to see, hey, I could, I did basically start a whole new career before and get it to a successful point in 10 years. So I can do that now. And basically that's what I did. A year ago, I started this new career in personal development, and I built it up to the point where I could be here with you today. And I really enjoy this, and I really enjoy being able to talk to people in our age group and help people in our age group to be able to see the new possibilities. So I would strongly urge you to spend some time doing that exercise. I actually have a full page worksheet where I go through that, or I break it down. We get into detail on that. And I believe we're going to have my website in the chat, and you can go on that and contact me. I'll be happy to give you that worksheet so that you can work with it. If you spend some time with it and really show yourself the possibilities, say in your career as a real estate professional, look back and let's say you've been in it for 10 years, and you look back where you were when you started and see where you are today and say, look at all I accomplished. Look who I became. Look what I learned. And then think about if you can do that much more again, maybe in a different direction, maybe in a different field, or just a different way of applying it. And I think that's going to give you, to me, it gives you a great deal of optimism about your life and a much better view of your life, a much brighter view of your life, a brighter future than the big lie would have you believe. So what are the do's and don'ts of taking this kind of approach? Well, one of the things that you have to make sure that you do is you have to keep in mind these concepts. You have to get really focused in on and anchored in that belief that I'm never done growing, that you really have to accept that and make that sort of your mantra, if you will. And then one thing that you want to avoid doing is falling into that trap of believing the big lie and sort of losing hope and beginning to believe what it is they're trying to get you to believe about what the aging process is. And here's how I go about that. Here's how I help myself avoid that trap and to be able to stick with these new concepts. I've got a morning ritual, if you will. And in studying successful people, what I have found is that the most successful people have some kind of a ritual. And a ritual is just a habit. It's just a thing that you do on a regular basis, typically on an everyday basis. And for most of us who do these sorts of things, we do it in the morning. We do it first thing in the morning. Why do you do that? Why would you want to have a morning ritual? Well, think about it this way. We all understand, and we've heard that concept of getting up on the wrong side of the bed. Okay, what that means is you get up in the morning and you're kind of in a bad mood. Maybe you stub your toe getting off the bed, and that makes you grumpy. And then your first encounter with your spouse or significant other, or whoever it is that you first encounter in the morning, you're grumpy with them, so they get grumpy back with you, and you're in a bad mood. It kind of goes all downhill from there, and everything that goes wrong in the day seems so much worse than it would normally have. Then on the other hand, when you get up in a good mood in the morning, then everything seems to go easier. You're happier with other people. They're happier with you. You're able to accomplish things you want. You got more energy. So what a ritual does for you is, rather than allowing the events of the day to be able to dictate what your frame of mind is, you select that yourself. You decide ahead of time that you're going to have this frame of mind that, I'm never done growing. And you're going to have a frame of mind that you're able to go after your dreams and become the better version of yourself. And you can do this by making a promise to yourself of every single day. You're going to get up in the morning and you're going to do certain things. And I've got what I call the win your morning process. And by win your morning, win doesn't mean that you're defeating somebody else or you're getting this great prize. It just means that you are having the morning that you want to have. And you're starting yourself out in the frame of mind that you want to be in. And so by winning your morning, that's all that means. And so what the win your morning guide or win your morning process does is it's a 4-step process. And you go step by step through it. And there's visualization involved. And there is a gratitude exercise involved, there's some physical exercise involved, and put all together, what it does is it starts out your morning the best possible way, in the best frame of mind. There is a personal development speaker by the name of Jay Shetty. Many of you may have heard of him. He was a monk, and now he's a personal development speaker. And so he takes most of what he learned from being a monk and applies it to, everyday living for folks like us. And what he talks about in terms of these morning rituals is it's sort of like putting on a suit of armor. Okay, so if you get up in the morning and you know you're going to face various things during your day, every day that may not go the way you want, but if you put on this suit of armor when you go out into your day, then you're protected, okay, from these bad things that may happen to you, and so they affect you less, and you're better equipped to go forward and accomplish the things that you want. So by starting out with these morning rituals, that's sort of like putting on that suit of armor first thing in the morning. And one of the things that you don't do is you don't listen to your phone, for like the first 30 minutes or so. That's one of the rules. You don't listen to the news, you don't read the newspaper, like for the first half hour, so that you can set your own frame of mind before you go out into your day. So as I say, we've got a step-by-step process for doing this. It's called the Win Your Morning Guide. And out of gratitude and appreciation for being able to be here today, and for you folks being here and sharing your time with me. And by the way, I want to congratulate you for being here. I want to congratulate you for taking the time out of your day to learn new things, to try to get these tools that have been offered to you by the other speakers today to improve what you're doing in your life and your real estate practice. And the fact that you've been here, all day, you're still here. I'm the fourth speaker. I'm at the end of the day, and you're still here. Congratulations for that. And so out of appreciation for that and recognition of that, I'd like to offer you a gift. I think they're going to put into the chat, there's going to be a link to my Win Your Morning Guide, which is a 5-page workbook. It will take you step by step through the process that I've just talked about. And we also have a video on demand mini guide that goes along with this. So I talk you through how this works. And I'm very happy to share that with you so that you can then start your morning out with that suit of armor on and be best equipped to go forward in your day, choosing your own mindset, your own frame of mind. So that's really about all I had for you today. Hopefully this was of value to you. I really, again, want to thank Don and Debbie and Heather for having me here today. I ran a little shorter than I thought I was going to run, but I wanted to make sure that what I said made some sense and had some value to, and I just didn't talk just for the purpose of talking and filling up the time. And I know we set aside some time for some questions and answers, so if you do have some, I'm here. I'm happy to answer them for you. So thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we get your guide?
How do we get your guide? We're going to put a link in the chat, I believe. Heather?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, so we're working on that. So if you watch it, do you know how to get to the chat on your screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so if you go to the chat, it's going to pop up on there, and there will be a link there. Sometimes in Zoom, you can actually click on it directly. Sometimes you have to copy and paste it into another window. Depends on how well the Zoom gods are working today. Today they weren't working for my camera, so you never know. But yeah, that's all it takes is just go follow that link, and you'll be able to download the guide, and it'll all be there for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
When will you have a little challenge or anything like some? I seen one of yours a while back and really enjoyed it. And today's a great presentation. When will you have another challenge like that?
Hi, Scott. It's good to see you. That's Scott from Texas. He's wearing a fine-looking baseball cap there, it looks like. Got our Success After 60 baseball cap. Scott's actually one of my students who we invited to be here today. So not really a plan of the audience, but I appreciate that. I will probably be doing another challenge. We do these 3-day challenge, free challenges on Facebook from time to time. So we also, if you go to our website, there will be a link to the Facebook page. I try to provide a lot of content to folks without charge so that they can learn these concepts and start applying to their lives. And I did just do a 3-day success challenge that Scott attended. Talked about some of these same principles and some of these other principles that we also teach. What other questions can I answer for you?
So this is Debbie Gentry, and I'm in the Villages, Florida. And I've been doing real estate 35 years. And how do you get off the hamster wheel and feel like you're rewarding people, but you're also rewarded? It's just a hamster wheel in today's world. especially with the way the real estate market is. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. And, you know, you think you're going to have 5 minutes in the morning to have a cup of coffee, and the world starts before you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, Debbie, I know exactly what you're talking about. That happens to me too. And that's one of the reasons why I started this morning ritual. Let's just sort of break it down a little bit. The first part is, you know, how you get control of your day in the morning. You just have to make the commitment to setting aside an hour for yourself. And if you have to get up an hour earlier, do it. Don't turn your phone on. Make sure the people in your household know not to bother you. You may have to go out to the backyard. Sometimes I will do that. And just set aside some time for yourself. So I've heard it analogized to, you know, when you get on the airplane and you sit down and they're going through the safety regulations and they say, hey, if something goes wrong and the oxygen mask drop down and you've got children with you, be sure to put the mask on yourself first. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of the people who are dependent on you. So I know it seems selfish sometimes to try to do things for yourself and say, well, I've got my clients, I've got my family, all these other people, they need things done. And I'm committed to doing that. But it's actually more selfish if you don't take care of yourself, and then you don't have the juice to be able to take care of them. So that's the first part of it. As far as that sort of hamster wheel concept is concerned, that comes down to taking out a little bit of time and making some decisions for yourself and figuring out what's important to you, because we all get caught up in all these so many things there are to do. I mean, I have a law practice and I have a family. I have this, you know, this new enterprise of success after 60, and there's always something to do. But what you have to be able to do is to sit down and figure out what is important to you and make some choices, and then be able to set some goals for yourself. And then one of the best things I've ever heard of, a lot of you probably know Dean Graziosi, because he's became very famous in terms of the real estate business and being able to describe processes on that. And he has books on that, and he's done lectures and that sort of a thing. But one of the best things that I ever learned from him was this concept. You know, we all have the to-do list. Well, what he promotes is the not to-do list. He says, go through your day, maybe a couple of days, and write down the things that you do. And then look at those and pick out the things that you don't really have to do, that you could get somebody else to do, or that don't have to be done at all. And he says, if you look at it from this standpoint, look, if you got a nice house, you have a yard, and you're spending time going out there and mowing the lawn yourself and trimming the bushes yourself and that sort of a thing, how much money would you be making, for example, in your real estate profession in that same amount of time? And then if you hired somebody to do that for you, how much would it cost you to do that? And if you compare the two, virtually always you'd be making much more than you'd be paying that person to do that task for you. So go through and find tasks like that. Can you get somebody to pick up your dry cleaning for you? Can you get somebody to do that? Do you really have to do this thing? Can it be just crossed off the list altogether? So build that not to-do list, and then don't do those things. And you'll find that that frees up your time. So if you have some more time and you have some more focus and you've made some choices for yourself and you set aside time in the morning to get in the right mindset, then I think that's really going to help you get off that hamster wheel. Hopefully that'll be of some help to you.
Doug, part of your ritual in the morning, is there meditation involved as part of that?
There is. I actually use what's called Tony Robbins priming exercise, and you nod your head. I think you've heard that. You've probably seen it. And he does a whole thing. And for the meditation portion of it, it's a couple things. One, he does like this what's called dragon breathing exercise, where you're pumping brain, pumping oxygen in your body and oxygen into your brain. And then he does a visualization exercise where it's an energy kind of thing, where you're visualizing energy coming down, coming through your body and energizing all your cells. So that's what I use. I also, on my own, do some additional meditation. And I'm glad you brought that up, because as I've been doing this studying in brain science and reading Ron Kaiser's book, He talked about meditation, and many of the leading neuroscientists these days are talking about meditation. This used to be kind of a not super well accepted kind of thing when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, but now it's become part of science. And you got people like Joe Dispenza, for example, who are taking this whole meditation concept and turning it into a science and doing brain scans of people who are meditating and showing how much more, it's like doubling and tripling and quadrupling the activity in your brain, the electrical currents actually being generated in your brain by doing meditating. So yeah, I'm absolutely supportive of that. And there's so many different ways of going about it. You know, some people say, well, I just can't sit there and do nothing. And you don't have to. There are kinds of meditations where you actually are actively thinking. And so you don't have to shy away from it because like, well, I've tried that. You know, I mean, I trained in transcendental meditation at one point. It's hard to sit there and not think of something. But there's these new types of meditation like Dispenza promotes, and Emily Fletcher has a whole system built around different kinds of meditation for active creative people, specifically people who can't make their brain stop. She's got a whole way of going about meditating for you. So yeah, I'm absolutely in support of that. So is the science. Good, great question, Don.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Great session. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've enjoyed it.
I'm glad. It's been a great, I was able to look in on part of the day today and hear some of the other speakers. I heard a lot of great information coming through. So it's really, I'm so grateful that you put on this event.
Yeah, we've had a great day today. This is our first event that we've done like this. Won't be our last. And we've had great speakers, including, you know, yourself. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. And information is always an add-on to each and every one of our lives.
So I would love for people to put in the chat, what is their biggest challenge in their business? What's the biggest challenge? It doesn't have to be senior. It could be whatever. Let's talk about it for 15, 20 minutes. And Doug probably can help us figure out how to work it out.
Absolutely, be happy to. Somebody may need to read the question too, because I got a little screen here in front of me today.
So Roger has the same problem I do, time. The hamster wheel, time to do the laundry, time to do whatever you need to do. So your answer to me was great.
Yeah, mine's a little bit different. It seems to take so long to get everything done. So I guess it's the same thing. It just, you sit down to do something and you're like, oh God, that took forever.
Now you're right. That's a slightly different question. And I've studied that a bit. And here's a couple of things that I've heard. Part of what happens sometimes is you get distracted. I mean, you may be sitting down working on a task for a long time, but sometimes it takes so long because you haven't focused on it, you get distracted from it. So if you can figure out, and that may or may not be the issue you're having, but if that is the issue that you're having, if you can figure out a way to sort of isolate yourself to a certain extent and, and shut off your phone if you don't use your phone for that particular task, tell people to not bother you for a while and really focus in on what it is you're trying to do. Another great tip that I got from Ed Milet, who's another personal development speaker, made his fortune in the financial services field. He actually sets a 1-hour timer and it goes off every hour. And that means at the end of that hour, he goes, oh, wait, an hour has gone by, and he stops and thinks, okay, did I just accomplish an hour's worth of stuff? Or did I get distracted? So that helps keep you on course. And if that keeps going off, you could, oh, I haven't got anywhere near what I want to accomplish with that particular task. Then you sort of go back and regroup and figure out maybe a more efficient way of doing it, or maybe you realize you've allowed yourself to get caught up on this. You got onto social media, or a phone rang, or you just lost focus on what you're doing. So a couple of tips like that I think might be of some benefit for you.
It is. That's good. I guess I do suffer from the squirrel syndrome, the shiny object syndrome every now and then, because that seems to bother you and you try to do something and you get distracted too by customers calling in and, well, I'd rather do this, I'd rather do that. And you're trying to work on this other customer. So it's, this is a new career for me. Like you, keep learning, right?
Absolutely.
So trying to figure out how to do everything. So that's another part of it too.
And Roger, I think some of it is, how can I simplify the process?
Correct. I'm all about process and all about procedures, because I did that in a previous life. I did a lot of operating procedures, standard operating procedures, how-to guides and stuff like this. So when you go from one field to another, you got to learn it all over again and figure out how I can apply that to this one.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we all go through that, as we change careers, we go from one career to another. We look at things and we go, okay, well, this is how I used to do this. How can I now take that simple process or complicated process and make it part of my life in this new life that I have?
Yeah.
Because it's always the challenge always is, and Debbie mentioned earlier, you mentioned it, is time, right? Time we never get back, right? So the thought behind it is how can we simplify? How can we improve what it is that we're trying to do and making it so much easier? And that in turn takes the stress off our life as well.
I'd like to do what Doug says, and I try to do that, where he said, figure out, okay, how much does it cost you to do this job? And how much does it cost to hire it out? Right. So yeah, that's fine with someone that's been in the business for a while, that's making, is selling 100 houses a year. It's fine for them to go and say, oh, okay, I can just farm that out and hire a virtual assistant. But if you're just getting started, a virtual assistant is costing you money.
Right.
And you have nothing to replace that money with.
I have a few words to add to this. Something as simple as food preparation in the morning, the breakfast hour, in prime time breakfast hour. If you pre-stage your foods and prepare your meals on Saturday to where each breakfast meal, you're actually eating real food, only takes you 2 minutes. I have a simple little course that I created on mastermind.com, and it's been well received, and I'm trying to get more eyeballs on it. But you take and prepare the meals you want all on one day, something that can store either in the freezer or the refrigerator for a week. And then that way you wake up, you never have to worry about what to eat, because you have 3 different choices or more, however you choose. You don't have to use the same food I did. I used oatmeal, and I used French toast, and I used eggs and fruit. But it's just a simple little course that I put out there for people my age, people who are single and empty nesters. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
That's good. That's good.
I want to get back to what Roger was saying for a minute, and I understand it's a practical matter when you're getting started out and you feel you don't have the money to be able to hire somebody to do what you could be doing. So that you don't really have that trade-off. It's like, well, if I weren't mowing the lawn, I wouldn't be making money anyway right now, because I'm not filling my my full 8-12 hour a day in my new profession. But and Tony Robbins talks about this too.
Really?
He said what he did early on was he figured out a way to sort of trade. You could trade time with somebody that maybe a service for time may or may not work in your particular profession, or maybe you can get family members to take on some of the tasks, or like I was talking about later, develop that not to do list, figure out the things that you really don't have to do at all and just cross them off. And if you spend the time to go through your day and write down, like for a day, maybe 2 days, hey, I did this, this, and this, then you look at it in the evening and go, I didn't really have to do that at all. I could just skip that. And that can help out a little bit with it.
That's good. Thanks.
Alan, looks like you want to say something? Alan Hill?
Laura said that the Ed Middle Show and Dr. Joe Dispenza are on YouTube.
Oh, he's on YouTube.
Yeah, Ed Milet, Mylett, and Joe Dispenza. I think it's Dispenza. Yeah, they got a lot of content on YouTube. And that's where I get, a lot of my information from those folks. I definitely recommend both of them. Dispenza's get a little technical, but he's very much into the meditation portion of it, the brain science portion of it. Milet is a little more down to earth, practical speaking, but a very powerful speaker too. And I really enjoy listening to Ed particularly. I love his presentation. He does interviews as well. So you can go on there and say he's interviewed this person and this person that have all these different things that you can learn from them. And another person who does that sort of thing is Tom Bilyeu, Bilyu. He does a lot of interviews, and I've learned a lot about sort of the new neuroscience kinds of things from him, but also practical stuff. He's a business person. He built up a nutrition business. They did Quest Nutrition, I think it is. Built that up and sold it. He's very wealthy now, and so he knows about business, and so he talks a lot about things that can help you in business, very practical kinds of things.
So Maria is asking a question. I'm sure Doug can answer because you have to deal with this in the law side. She says, I end up being asked to be their friend and I don't end up with a sale. Not sure how to keep things professional without being cold or distant, and how to, separate my person from the business person to relate to people.
That's an excellent question. To me, there's two ways of looking at it. A relationship is never a waste, even if it doesn't become business right then and there. Because both in the real estate profession and the legal profession, we rely so much on referrals that, yeah, maybe that person that you're spending some time with doesn't become a client of yours, but they really, because you were nice to them and friendly to them, then they refer you to other people, and that becomes business. So to me, it's never really a waste. You do have to monitor your time though, and make sure that you're not giving away too much of your time. So it becomes sort of a balance as you do this longer and spend more time at it, you get sort of a feel for how that's working out. And particularly in what we do, and particularly these days when many of us are working from home, it's difficult to draw that strong line between your business life and your personal life. So it does become a bit of a challenge. But just if you kind of keep that in mind, that really having a good relationship with somebody isn't necessarily a waste of time just because they're not immediately becoming business for you, that might help out. Maybe some of you other folks in the profession can address that as well.
Well, I think what I've learned over the years is you're not everything to everyone. We try to be the psychiatrist, the marriage counselor, the estate sale person, the handyman, everything to everybody. And it's back to what Doug says is you have to set the boundaries, and you have to say, well, that's outside the realm of my scope of work, but I've got 10 handyman you can contact, or I can put you in touch with movers, etc. So you have to have a good service providers to separate that, because that's where I get drug into a lot of stuff, because they'll call you 15 times for 15 different questions that they could have put in a simple text. And, every time I answer the phone, it's a distraction from something else, which somebody else mentioned. The distractions are their biggest thing. So you have to set the boundaries, but you also have to be organized.
Yeah, following on what you said, Debbie, it's always good to have your own referral list. I'm very focused on the kind of law that I do, and when it's somebody calling about something else, I say, here, talk to this person, or if I don't have a particular person, here's, the platform where all of them are listed, and you can do the research yourself. In occasionally, we'll just answer the question if it's not too far off field. But no, you're right, Debbie. You have to draw those boundaries.
So my next question is, what would everybody like to learn next in the 55 plus senior type environment? If it's from a personal side or if it's from a business side, what burning topics can we arrange for our mastermind groups on Tuesday night?
Hi, Carla again from Massachusetts. So I'm not, it sounds like a lot of people have a lot of experience on this particular webinar or presentation. And there are some of us that maybe have not been in the business that long. And again, you know, it's the outlay of money. There's a lot of great programs out there, but everything seems to cost money. So I'm looking at where, you know, newer agents, 55 and over, how you can maximize your time and minimize the outlay of money that you have to spend, if that's possible.
Okay, so Carla, that's a great question. In fact, the masterminds that we do on Tuesdays, and people have been asking about this weekly group. So we until recently, we were holding it within our company, and it's all free workshops that we do. It's nothing that's paid. And we do everything that's 55 plus. We're empowering and educating all of our real estate agents or any real estate agent that just wants to be a part of it. So we've had somebody come in that's taught us how to do Instagram. Instagram's free. Any of us could do Instagram. Facebook, any of us can put something together on Facebook. And then we've talked about, and Donald put together, by the way, all the information. It is currently in the eXp Workplace, which is the Facebook group, the interface for our group. But if you are not an eXp agent, you can find us on my personal page. Is called Customized Aging, because I put all of our flyers up in there just for people to see. You can follow us there, or we're going to start a group, and Donald, I don't know what's going on, but Donald will handle that for people on the outside to be a part of in Facebook. But for right now, if you need to find something, that's where you can find it. The meetings are about an hour long. They're every Tuesday. We have special guest speakers. We've done everything from Canva trainings. Canva's free. It's a great place to make, like, you know, flyers and everything else. So we've had somebody come in and teach us Canva. We've had somebody come in and teach us, like I was saying, Instagram, TikTok. We've got somebody in our company that's got thousands and thousands of people on their TikTok, and he taught us how to do a TikTok video. So we get people to do all these things free of charge, and that it helps us to be able to navigate what else is out there. If we choose to buy whatever it is, we can purchase it or not, but at least it gives you an idea of other things, and we go slower. It's not like fast paced and quick. So it makes it nice, but it's every Tuesday. Eastern time, 7 p.m. and 4 p.m. on the West Coast. And it's live, and we do it exactly like this. We want everybody to get involved and ask questions, because you know, it works as a village for all of us to help each other out. And like we talked about, it's an untapped market across the world. It's not just here in the US. And so some of the people that we've brought in have been brokers from other countries that have talked about the senior market within their country. And it's nice because then you hear about these tax kind of things that you can do when you move into the country. Nothing that I would know about. You'd have to contact an accountant, but it's nice to know what other options are out there. And as agents, we can refer people to another country and still get some sort of a cut through our agency for a referral. So to have those connections makes it nice also.
And typically a lot of what we teach is not just for seniors. It's really for any market.
Yeah.
We're just, you know, we're focused on the senior market because that's what this group is all about. But many of the things can be used anywhere, in any market.
Yeah. And if you think the senior market is in every facet, it's in the commercial market, it's in every area. It spans every culture, every generation, it's everything. We're all going to be 55 at one point. But it's just a different marketing style, because like what 20, 30-year-olds are marketing are not our style. And it's too fast paced for people that are in the senior market. They need you to take your time. They need a little hand holding and not rush, rush, rush. So I think that's where we, where we see the need and we wanted to hop in. Just again, Donald Maycott and Debbie Gentry started our group, and I hopped on board and have been so happy since I've done that. And then we just added another one. Where is she? Can you pop up here, Laura?
Laura.
Is she around? Laura. And Laura's out of Arizona. I think she should be on. She's at a commercial real estate. There she is. Pop in and say hi and tell us about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Laura, and I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm the newest member to this wonderful team that is putting on this amazing event for you today. And I just wanted to pop on and say hello.
And she's a
Thank
welcome
you.
to the team. We're
Yes.
happy to have her.
So just to kind of give you an update of what we've got in store for us. So next week, we're going to kind of do an open discussion, and that is going to be how to get started working with seniors. And it's just kind of all of us discussing. We don't do open discussions quite often, but we do like to have an open discussion so we can kind of get other ideas, and it gives us an idea behind the scenes of like who to start contacting and get out there to bring more information into our group. And we get great ideas doing that. And then the week after that, we are going to have Stephen Helgard, who's the right-hand man for Tony Robbins. And so it's going to be like a Tony Robbins event, but seniors for 55 and older. And he is going to come talk to us about that. And I don't know who else we have lined up, but it's going to be good. I'm getting there. Donald, Debbie, or Laura, do you guys want to say anything?
I wanted to go back to Carla's question. She said, well, how do I do stuff and not spend the money, not go after what we call the purple squirrels or the shiny objects? You have to learn to fish for yourself. We have to all realize that the brokers are not handing us the leads. I don't care which broker you're with. They're not handing you the leads without something attached, and that could be a referral fee or some other thing they need. You have to learn to fish. And I think one of the things that I really love about Kelly Wheeler is he's not about the shiny objects. When you talk about Remind, yeah, it may be $199 if you don't have it, but look at Realist, look at IMAP, look at some of the other products your MLSs might provide, and you may find that you have the same type shiny object that you can use that's already provided for you. Use what you're being given. The listing to leads is a real easy tool compared to some out there to be able to do Facebook marketing. And like he showed, $36 for 19 leads. I'll take it any day. You know, Zillow, in my market, if you don't spend $3,000, you're not getting anything. So we have to learn to fish for ourselves instead of asking somebody to provide it. So don't sign up for all these shiny objects.
And remember, this is your business. I mean, you need, there are lots of wonderful tools in eXp Workplace. If you belong to eXp, there are so many tools in Workplace and videos of people showing you how to do just about everything you can imagine, and it's free. Yeah, there's, as Debbie says, there's lots of shiny objects out there, and you can spend a small fortune on them and potentially get nothing out of it. But there's just so much training out there in Workplace and elsewhere. I mean, Heather and I joke about TikTok a lot. There are a lot of educational things, not just people dancing, but there's a lot of educational subjects and things that people teach in that short 15, 30 second, now 60-second spots. There's a lot of stuff out there. As a I looked up to Debbie when I first got back into real estate for the second time, because she was a local expert. She knew the market inside and out, and learned a lot of things from her as well as many other people. You just need to go out there and look. Don't give up. People say, well, I had a guy in my car one time, and he said to me, so how much did you make the first month in real estate? I said, why is that? He said, because I was told I can make a good amount of money. And I said, and what profession did you come from? He was a home inspector. I said, who told you that you can make a lot of money your first month in real estate? He said, well, the recruiter told me that. I immediately went back to the office, pulled the recruiter to the side and said, why are you telling people this? It's like any other business. You have to, there are people who make a tremendous amount of money day one. The majority of people don't. You have to be realistic about any business, 6 months to a year at least, before you can make anywhere near what you were making before.
Well, Donald, thank you very much for sharing that, because when I'm on my 5th month with eXp, I've been in classes, seminars, I've taken advantage of all that training you're talking about. I've been all the different things. And, I came in as a solo agent. I didn't have a team or firm or local affiliation or anything. And I think that was my one thing I do miss, because, from this afternoon session, we believe in teams and relationships, and that's one thing's missing. But I've finally found this group. I'm going to testimonial here that I feel like I belong, I fit in, and it makes sense to me. I mean, maybe it's because it's that Sonia, we're talking about slow presentation. It's the format. It's relatable, and I am just supercharged now. I haven't had one transaction since I've been with eXp, because it's just overwhelming. I just finally got my KV core, understand what it took me 4 months to understand what that is and what tool that is. I got my Facebook page finally, but Carla, I can relate when you're talking about that, or, when you come out and basically, in all these seminars you're talking about, do this, do that. And I came from that. So I'm coming out of retirement to take a new career because I didn't want to stop growing and learning. And sure, the money's important. I like to buy a place in the mountains, so I need a little income, but this is amazing. And I just want to thank Heather and Donald and Debbie for all this. And I'm glad I discovered your own workplace, and I finally found my home. I mean, I think this is great. And now I need my local hero, if I can find out who that person is, to shadow them and have them across the table from me instead of this Zoom and this other stuff. I'm missing contact, and you put me in front of a person. That's great. This media thing is something I'm trying to get a grasp and understand. But anyway, that's my testimony. I just want to share that with the group.
So
John,
thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you. And John, it goes back to exactly what Fritzy was saying this morning with the demographics, and how we all perceive computers and technology in our age demographics versus the younger.
John, comment, I would suggest going to exprealty.com, find realtors that are in your area and collaborate with them. Have a coffee meeting once a week. Have a lunch.
Don't you have a
meeting
mentor?
once a week. Because the last thing people want to feel like, especially when they're brand new, is they want to feel like, especially at eXp, because we are a cloud-based brokerage, they don't want to feel like a solo man on an island by himself.
And that feeling's been there, have to be confessed, that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
you're talking
sure.
about mentor, and this is recording. I have my feedback about that, but anyway, it's been great in terms of the information, and definitely been growing. I'm better off, but a lot of this stuff, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to try to apply it to my own personal. I'm going to try to make some deals happen for my own personal interest, self-interest here, but I really want to go out and have other transactions, some seller and buyer relationships, but I've learned a lot. It's been great. And my 10-year-old granddaughter, I'll bring about her. She's the one that's my technologist. She's the one that helps Gramps with the
Yep.
latest. And I have to have that childlike faith and just push some buttons and do it anyway. If you make a mistake, you can correct it. I mean, but it's been fun. I love the journey. It's exciting. It's an unusual time with this COVID thing going on. It's not like exactly I want to go out and shake too many hands anyway right now. But I mean, it's really good, but I just love this group. It's just a good.
Awesome. Great. Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Be there. And, you know, we're going to build a family out of this. And the key thing is that we're going to continue to build relationships in all markets worldwide as we continue to grow.
And I did put the Zoom link for Tuesday night in the chat.
Good. Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to be posting flyers, so you guys will see a lot of me.
And
Feel free to share flyers. And by the way, anybody on this thing, first, thank you for showing up and being a part of this. But secondly, Debbie, myself, Laura, we're here to help. We're happy to talk to you guys. With any questions you have, let us know here on Workplace and in eXp or Facebook us. We're on Facebook, all of us.
and Doug, we don't want to forget about you, but thank you very much for your time today and
Thanks,
your wisdom and education.
Thanks, Doug.
Sorry, we got on a little tangent coming towards the full realtor side of things, but thanks for coming. We enjoyed having you and look forward to the next time. Thank you, everybody. It is now 4:15. We're done for the day. And
Happy Senior Citizens Day.
Yes, thank you. You the same, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you guys for setting this up for us. It's great.
Have fun. Enjoy your week. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Don.